you one.
All right. So for those of you who haven't been here the last 4 or 5 weeks, you're going to be a little bit lost, but we'll catch you up. All right, so what have we been talking about on Wednesday nights for the last few weeks?
Shape.
Shape, all right, which is what? What's S?
Spiritual gifts.
Spiritual gifts. H is
Heart.
heart, which is what?
Things you're passionate about.
Things you're passionate about. A is what?
Abilities.
Abilities. P is what?
Personality.
Personality. What is E?
Experiences.
There we go. You're on your game tonight. You don't really use that brain when school's not in session, huh?
No.
All right. So tonight we're talking about, this is a continuation of our study. Congratulations, you're gifted. Tonight we talk about, you've got something to share, which is discussing experiences. Does everybody have a pen, paper? Everybody's got what you need? Okay. All right. Here's a pen. Here's a pen. All right. So everybody knows who Helen Keller is. The marvelous richness of human experience would lose something of rewarding joy if there were no limitations to overcome. The hilltop hour would not be so wonderful if there were not dark valleys to traverse. What was Helen Keller's story? Why would this quote be
Wait, she said that?
yes?
She learned to talk.
She wrote a bunch
That
of
is right. She
sentences.
didn't learn to talk.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Later in life, as an adult, she did learn to talk.
My bad.
Couldn't see, she couldn't hear.
She couldn't hear, she was blind and deaf.
I know.
But she talks about the joy in life being the ability to overcome obstacles, right? The experience that we have, okay? So when we talk about experience, we're not only talking about the good things that happen to us, but we're also talking about the bad things that happen, because both of those work to shape us into who we are, right? So as we grow and mature, it's important that we learn from past events. Sir Winston Churchill once said, "Those who fail to learn from history are doomed to repeat it." What do you think he meant?
Can't do it right.
Well, if you go to war and you lose every time, you probably shouldn't go to war anymore.
Okay. All right. So Winston Churchill was the British leader, during the war, along with Franklin Delano Roosevelt here in the U.S. And he talked about the mistakes that we make. If we don't learn from them, then we're probably going to make the same mistake again, right? The entire purpose in overcoming a mistake is to learn from it and adjust so that you don't make the same mistake twice, right? So tonight we're going to talk about what are some defining moments in your life. We talked last week about this was a very personal discussion, a very personal study, okay? We're not necessarily going to talk out loud about things, although we're certainly open to anybody who wants to talk about an experience that they've been through, but experience is one that's kind of tough because you may have dealt with things that are very, very serious in your life. You may have lived a blessed life and not had to deal with serious things. But a lot of times, you may be sitting by somebody who's dealt with abuse in the home. Or if they haven't been abused, maybe they've seen their mom abused. Or they've seen a guardian abused. You may have dealt with depression. Or you may have a friend who's dealt with depression. You may have had a friend who's died. Maybe a friend got cancer and passed away at a young age. Maybe a friend was in a car accident. You may have had a friend who was involved in an accident that killed somebody else. So you never know what experiences people have been through. Okay, you never know what's shaping the decisions that somebody makes. You never truly know somebody's story unless they're willing to tell it to you, right? So we talk about our testimonies, and all this becomes part of our testimony. And part of what we're going to do tonight is part of what will play into your testimony. I mean, it's your story. We're going to talk about some milestones in your life. And you're going to be able, that's what the Post-it notes are for. It's there to go back and think through your life and think of the 5, 6, 7 instances or events that have really helped make you who you are. And like I said, some of those are going to be good instances. Some of those may be bad experiences. But they both work together to make you who you are. So we're going to talk about some of the life events that have brought you the biggest joys and sorrows, the greatest awards or losses, the most amazing victories, or the most difficult struggles. When we talk about experience, we talk about watching the movie of your life. Each of the movie scenes highlights one key moment from your life. Some scenes depict events filled with excitement, achievement, love, and fulfillment. Other scenes reveal experiences that cause pain, frustration, loneliness, and sadness. But every one of those scenes, good and bad, can be used by God to shape you and help you discover how you make a difference in the world. All right? So when we talk about positive experiences, those are called mountaintop moments. Those are those positive moments, those positive events that have happened in your life. Typically, they fall into one of these 5 categories. But just take a minute or two and just kind of think through and just get in your head, 2, 3, 4 of those really positive moments. It may be something that deals with your family. Perhaps it was, the birth of a sibling. Perhaps it was the birth of a niece or nephew. Perhaps it was, if you were from, a family that dealt with a divorce and your parents got remarried. I know that had a big effect on Cody's life. Cody's parents were divorced when she was in high school. Both of her parents eventually remarried, and they have an amazing family that interacts with each other. When her dad was still alive, her dad and stepmom got along very well with Cody's mom and stepdad. When it came time to have the grandkids' birthday parties, everybody came. There was no having to go to this house or that house. Everybody was able to get together because both of them realized, Cody's mom and dad realized that their differences that caused them to get divorced also helped them define the right match for that stage in their life. And so they both were very happy when they remarried. They continued. Cody's mom and stepdad are still happily married in Selma. Her dad, until he passed away, found a lady who was able to take care of and love him. And I think Cody's mom will even admit probably much better than she would have been able to in that situation as he dealt with Alzheimer's. So, God uses even those difficult situations like divorce to help write your story. Okay, and so that's kind of when we talk about experience and we talk about good experiences and negative experiences. Negative experiences don't have to define you, because if you turn those over and you allow God to use them, God can always make something good out of something bad, right? But those negative experiences help to shape us and make us who we are. So maybe it dealt with friends. Maybe you had, you were in junior high and somebody new moved to town and y'all became best friends and y'all have been friends, ever since. Or maybe as a child, a new friend came to town and y'all have been best friends ever since. Perhaps it was school. It was achievements in school. Perhaps it was extracurriculars on the sports field, on the dance floor, in music, in whatever, the Ritz play, whatever you're interested in. Maybe it was something, your involvement in whatever that activity was helped shape and make you who you are, and it helped change. Maybe you found something that you were really passionate about that you had never tried before the first time you tried out for the Ritz. And you found that you really loved the theater. And so now you want to be part of the theater. So that's one of those events that really helped to shape your life. Your spiritual life the same way. Those events that happened in the church, perhaps it was a D-Now weekend. Perhaps, as I know it was in Cason's case, perhaps it was the football bash that they do at Georgiana. I know that's where Cason accepted Christ. So perhaps it was a team event, something like that. Perhaps it was, a camp at Chaco Springs or Camp Butter and Egg or somewhere as you were growing up that was that event that led you to a better knowledge of Christ. In addition to your mountaintop moments, we also have our deep valley visits. Those are the lowest of the lows. Perhaps you've had to deal with abuse, either personally or somebody close to you, rejection, betrayal, eating disorders, extreme loneliness, addictions, violence, divorce, death, car accidents. We can all think of situations that we deal with, that people that we know of deal with. And even if it hasn't affected you directly, if it's a friend and you've dealt with that through your friendship, indirectly it's affected you and it's helped you realize that you don't want to ever put anybody in that same situation, because you've seen those things. So it doesn't have to be something that directly impacts you, but it can be something that you witness through somebody else and it changes your mindset as to, you wanted to make sure you never put somebody in that same situation. All right? So as you think through those top moments and those deep valley visits, I want you to think about, you know, how those things affected you and what lessons did you learn from those. Okay? So y'all, that's what those yellow Post-it notes are for. Right now, let's take 3 or 4 minutes and just kind of think back through your own life and just, you can either write it down, you know, just write a short note about it. You know, you're not going to have to display these for anybody, but just kind of think through your life. Maybe you want to draw a picture if you're an artist, that's fine. But just think back through and try to pick out, you know, 2 or 3, you know, 4 positive moments that have impacted your life in one way or another. Also 2 or 3 negative moments that may have impacted you. Yeah, just take 3 or 4 minutes.
Are we writing one on each?
Yeah, just do one on each Post-it note. That's the reason you've got 6 or 7 Post-it notes there, so it's. There's a reason I gave it to you on Post-it notes, so I'll get to that in a second. And no, you don't have to post them in here for anybody to see. That's not the reason.
Wait, what are the first 4? Like positive moments in your life?
Well, yeah, I mean, just try to think through, you know, 2, 3, 4, you know, positive events in your life that have helped to make you who you are, and then 2 or 3, yeah, I mean, you may have more negative events than positive. I mean, but just try to find 2 or 3 of each one. You know, you may not be able to think of any real negative events in your life. Like I said, if you haven't, then consider yourself blessed, but that's okay. I mean, that can be reality for some people. Hey, y'all want to go build with that? I thought so. I told Casey to text her. I don't think she's got her phone with her. We have an extra packet somewhere with, yeah. Pass that around. The empty case.
Was that?
Yeah, but it's got Post-it notes on it. What we're doing is thinking back through, we're talking about experiences. And so we're thinking back through 2 or 3 positive things that have happened in your life that have helped make you who you are, and then 2 or 3 negative things. If you've had negative events that happen, and we talked about, you know, negative events could be, you know, divorce in your family or divorce of a friend. It could be the death of somebody close to you. It could be depression. It could be, you know, eating disorders, you know, those kind of things. Positive events would be, you know, the birth of a niece or nephew or a sibling, or, you know, I told him, you know, in Cody's experience, you know, she had a very negative experience when her parents got divorced when she was in high school, but both of her parents remarried to people who've made wonderful grandparents to the kids, and they've got a great relationship all together. So, yeah, that was a negative that became a positive. So everybody's either writing down or just drawing a picture of 5 or 6, 2 or 3 positive events in their life, 2 or 3 negative events in their life.
This one, I'll send it to them, I'll this one, wasn't hard.
Oh, yes, sir.
Yeah.
All right, while Ellie's catching up, is everybody else
Yeah.
pretty good?
No.
Nope, okay. We got a couple more minutes, we're not in a hurry. Like I said, this is really a short lesson because you're gonna take a couple of things out of this one that you take home with you and put some other thought into, so we've got a little bit of time.
So is next week Lane Shaw's house, or we got to that?
It is actually in 3 weeks. Next week, for those of you who are interested, listen to me. For those of you who are interested, we have been invited to go to Southside on Wednesday night next week for Mud Olympics. They're going to play soccer in the mud, they're going to play volleyball in the mud, they're going to play tug of war in the mud, they're going to play whatever other games they can come up with in the mud.
She says, oh yeah, she's just like.
So our plan was for that to be game night anyway, because it's in the middle of Bible school, and so we were just going to play games here. But if y'all would rather, we've been invited to go over there, and so if you want to, we can all just meet here, and then we'll meet here at about 5:30. We'll go over to Southside and participate as a church, as a team, in all the different games. I think they've got Danielsville Baptist is coming. UMC may be going, it's going to be Southside, us, there may be a couple of other churches involved. But if y'all want to do that, then we'll plan to do that next Wednesday. Show of hands.
What'd you say?
All right, all the young ones want to play in the mud.
No,
Okay.
no.
All of them want to play in the mud. Michael doesn't want to get dirty.
Wait, what day is it?
We'll see.
Wednesday,
The
yeah.
actual,
Yeah, Wednesday night.
okay.
So instead of being here next Wednesday, we'll meet here and we'll go to Southside for Mud Olympics.
I'm not getting dirty.
That's fine, you don't have to get there.
You can have the card.
I'm gonna get dirty.
What?
And then on the 18th, we'll be back here and we will go back over the shape profile. For anybody who missed, we'll kind of go through and we'll put everybody's shape profile together. And then on the 25th, we're going to be at our house.
So
And we'll,
2 weeks is when we need to bring the whole form.
right, yeah, on the 18th is when you'll bring the form and we'll work through, we'll go back through the spiritual gifts piece for those of you who forgot or who have your numbers but don't know what they mean. We'll go back through that piece and we'll put the entire shape profile together on the 18th. And then the 25th, we'll meet at the house and we'll have hot dogs and hamburgers and play wiffle ball or volleyball or something in the backyard and have a fire by the fire pit and just kind of hang out and enjoy each other's company. All right, so we talk about these different scenes. We talk about like the scenes from a movie, okay? So your film is going to be very unique. Your story is different than everybody else, right? We've talked about that through this entire study. We each have a unique past that influences who we are. So Frederick Buechner in Listen to Your Life, which is a book he wrote Listen to Your Life. See it for the fathomless mystery that it is, in the boredom and pain of it no less than in the excitement and gladness. Touch, taste, smell your way to the holy and hidden heart of it, because in the last analysis, all moments are key moments, and life itself is grace. Okay? So, big words, nice and fruity words, what does all that boil down to? Who can tell me what that means?
Listen to your life.
All right. It means that every moment is important, right? No matter good or bad, no matter how boring it seems, how boring your life may seem, everything that you experience day in and day out is helping to shape you to make you who you're going to be, right? So if we're having those experiences, we've talked about the whole time, if we're pursuing a godly life and we're studying Scripture and we're praying and we're having our quiet time and we're doing those things, then those experiences are going to help to develop us as godly people. And they're going to allow us to live a godly life. If the experiences that we choose are not godly, then they're going to lead us to be ungodly people, right? So every experience, everything that you do, no matter how exciting, how boring, how tedious, has something to do with how you ultimately are shaped and what you ultimately become. Okay? You just kick my camera. Sorry, Riley. Jacob kicked the camera.
Come on.
All right. So, like we've shown this verse each time. For we are God's handiwork, created in Christ Jesus to do good works, which God prepared us in advance to do. Okay. Again, God knows, just like Brother Johnny talked about on Sunday. God knew us before we were ever created. He knew everything that we would do. He knew every decision that we would make. He knew these two would be having a conversation over here while I'm trying to teach.
Come on,
It's just like school, man.
So he knew, God has already written everything. There's nothing that we can do that surprises God. You know, we've talked about if you go out to these steps and you decide you're going to go down the steps on the other side of the building instead of these, God knew you were going to do that. You cannot surprise God. He knows everything you're ever going to decide. He knows every move you're going to make, every breath you're going to take. Everything has already been written.
Every move I make, I
Hey, feel free, keep singing.
had to. Sorry.
All right, so that's our shape. Spiritual gifts, heart, things we're passionate about, our abilities, our personality, and our experience. Now, what I want you to do with these Post-it notes, the reason I gave them to you in Post-it note form, when you go home tonight, on your wall, at your house, these won't hurt your wall, of course, I want you to put those up in the order that they occurred in your life. Okay? And I want you to think through your life. And I want you to think through how each of those events impacted you. Okay? Because ultimately, you know, we talk about our Lifelines program, our Life in Full Exposure, our testimony, our God story. What you've written on those Post-it notes is part of your testimony. All of it may be before you came to know Christ. All of it may be after you came to know Christ. But we talked about your testimony is three things. It's your life before Christ. It's the event that caused you to come to know Christ. And then it's everything that you've done since you came to know Christ. It's those three pieces. So everything you've written on these Post-it notes tonight is part of your testimony. They're the events that have shaped your life and made you who you are. At whatever stage you are. You know, our belief is in this room, from what you have told us, that most of you have come to know Christ. So your life before Christ is over. You've reached that second point where you've come to know Christ. And now you're in the third phase, which is what you do after you come to know Christ. For some of you, and a couple realized at D-Now weekend, you know, they thought they were in phase 3. They weren't. They were still in stage 1. They had not come to a true knowledge of Christ. They knew who God was, but they didn't have God in their personal life. They didn't have a personal relationship with God. And so they made a decision at that point. So some of you may be sitting in this room tonight and you may have doubts about if you truly have a personal relationship. You know, we've talked a lot about on Sundays, and Brother Johnny has mentioned it on Sunday morning, and we talked about it on Sunday night. John mentioned it at D-Now. You know, Jesus in the Bible says that there are a number of people, a great multitude of people, who will claim to know Christ when they get to heaven's gates, and God is going to turn them away and say, I did not know you. So, living a Christian life, living a godly life, if we talk about we've accepted Christ, but if there was no change in our life after we accepted, then maybe we need to really find out who God is. And we need to look to see, do we truly have that personal relationship with God? Because if your life didn't change when you accepted Christ, then my fear is you may get to the pearly gates and he may say, I never knew you. I want all of you to be there. When I get there, well, I want to be there before you because I hope that y'all all outlive me. But I want all of you to be in heaven. You know, I want all of you to know that you've got a relationship with Christ. A personal relationship that changed your life, that made you a different person, that made you Christ-like. Now, does that mean we don't make mistakes? No, we all make mistakes. But if you desire, you know, we talked about that salvation is dying to yourself. It's allowing Christ to live in you and through you. Okay? So we want to make sure that you all have had that experience, and if you hadn't, that's what these Bible studies are, that's what the purpose of them is. That's what the purpose of discipleship is to help bring you to that understanding, help you to make an informed decision where you know, without a shadow of a doubt, you know that you've got a personal relationship with Jesus Christ. Okay? Once you have that relationship, then shape comes into play. Because then Christ is able, once you've turned your life over to Christ, then Christ is able to use you in service and in ministry to others. Okay? Christ has a desire for each one of us. It's like Brother Johnny said on Sunday. How many of y'all caught the point where we were talking about the book of life? And he talked about that everyone's name is written in the book of life. As you accept Christ, God doesn't write your name in the book of life. Your name's already there. What God does is He erases the names of those who never make that decision. God's desire is that everybody join Him in heaven. Okay? But it's up to man to make that decision. Okay? Once you make that decision, you're enabling God to use you to His honor, for His glory, to the benefit of other people. Christ's two commands, the two greatest commands, were to love God with all your heart and to love one another. Those are the two things that He said were more important than anything else that you do. To love God with all your heart and to love one another as Christ loves you. Okay? That's why we do Bible study. That's why we give our time to come, because we love each one of you enough to know that we want you to be there with us. Okay?
Even me?
Hmm?
Even
Even you, Sam.
me?
I want to hear that voice singing, that voice of the angels.
I want to sound so much better in heaven.
All right. So we are at the end of shape. All right. So next week we're going to go and we're going to play some games. On the 18th we're going to come back. We're going to talk back through this whole process, kind of put the picture together. All right. But we talked about at the beginning. Remember that God considers you to be His masterpiece. God is the master artist. Okay, and you're His masterpiece. And each one of these 5 things is like a different color that He uses in your portrait. So each week, think of the area of study, specific color God is using to bring out the clarity of your masterpiece. As your masterpiece takes shape, realize that your personal shape is God's gift to you, and how you use it is your gift to God. So what is your shape? That's what we'll talk about when we get back together on the 18th for Bible study. Anybody got any questions?
Why is he wearing a hat?
I have no idea. He's the king of the corner. I can't believe Ellie didn't pick you up and throw you out that corner when she got here.
That is her.
All my things.
All right, if you have missed one of the previous weeks, Heart and Abilities, the videos are on the website now. Personality and the video from tonight will be on the website by tomorrow. I've got to record a video for Spiritual Gifts because we couldn't get the camera to work that night. But you can go back and any of the pieces that you've missed, if you want to fill them out, take the brochures with you, kind of walks you through the whole thing. And you can watch the same type presentation. We've recorded it and uploaded it to the website for the last 3 weeks. So you can go to the website and look. And I know that Heart and Abilities both work because Riley has been at dance practice and she's watched both of those on the website. So that'll let you get caught up. Like I said, on the 18th, we'll kind of talk back through all 5 categories and we'll walk everybody through how to fill out your shape profile. All right?
Awesome.
Hit the record button for me.